Guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale. Today I have two guests on the line, going to do another podcast style video for you guys, kind of hunkering down on quarantine. Again, hope you're staying safe and healthy out there, and informed, of course, as always. So I'm joined by Rich Slaton. Rich, welcome to the channel, man.
What's up, dude? Happy to hear your voice and hear you're staying safe as well. And, you know, just try to, if you want pizza, make it yourself.
Indeed. Or getting deliveries okay, right?
Yeah, it depends on who's delivering it, I guess.
I guess that's true. I guess that's very true. And we also have SirTag on the line. Tag, what's up, man? Welcome back.
Hey, man. I'm doing good despite all of the craziness that's happening in the world.
Yeah, are you guys staying, like, you know, any, like, life updates? You guys just kind of locked in your rooms and making content like I am?
I'm hibernating.
Yeah, it's about the same. Everyone else in my family is like, things are so different, and I'm like, I'm still in my office.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of weird. It's like us gamers and content creators have been practicing for this for a long time. So we were ready to go. But guys, today we're going to talk about reworks. Earlier, like last week or the week before, we talked about balance changes. So you guys are welcome to go ahead and check that video out as well. But today, we're just going to be talking about cards that desperately need a rework in the game. So Rich, you're new to the podcast style format here. Why don't you go ahead and lead off with your first rework card idea?
Interesting. So here's my first idea. I really like the mechanic that Giant Skeleton, that Balloon, that Bomb Tower all have. They have skeletons who carry bombs, and when they die, that bomb explodes. And there's a skeleton that does that doesn't drop its bomb when it explodes, and I think it needs it, and that's the wall breaker. I think I'm not the wall breaker, the bomber.
Bomber, yeah.
The bomber is like, it's been niche in a couple of decks. Like, some people started throwing it in Golem after they saw Royal start doing it a whole bunch. But bomber really, like, has lived in Noobville for a long time. And I think that giving the bomber a death bomb that's appropriate for its size would be an excellent little rework to just give it that extra boost and maybe give it a little bit more defensive viability rather than making it almost purely like a counter push behind something big kind of card.
Okay, I kind of like that idea. What about you, Tag?
Yeah, so for me, my number one card that I would want to change
wait. Oh. Tell me whether or not you get the Tag stamp of approval on the Rich Slaton dropping the bomb first.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
I like it.
Tag was so excited about his change. He's like, I don't care about the bomb. Let's go to the next change. But yeah, you think that the bomber should drop a bomb?
Yeah, I actually think it would be really cool for consistency purposes, just for new players coming into the game, or just for people looking at it from a wider perspective, looking at all of the cards that are like that. It'd be nice to have a bomb with all the skeletons. It'd be cool.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, here's the thing: is where does the bomber fit into the meta? And the answer is pretty much nowhere. And it's because it's so weak now. The other rework idea that I have might be more controversial, and maybe it would have to be something that you put in instead of dropping the death bomb, maybe instead of, or you need a nerf amount of damage. But I would not mind seeing a bomber with slightly less damage that, since it throws its bomb, can also hit air and be a less damage alternative to the baby dragon.
Ooh, now you're really throwing a curveball at us. It seems
I
so
know.
OP.
I was holding on that one just to get a reaction from you guys.
They would really have to reduce the damage a lot.
You would have to reduce the damage and then also reduce the range and potentially have it die to, like, a log, maybe. I don't know. It seems like it would be very strong.
I like the idea of it dying to a log.
The death bomb is my number one on the list, and then the hitting air is the wacky idea to see if we can kind of take some just a little bit off of the baby dragon. I think that's the big problem, is the baby dragon is everywhere, and having a real a viable alternative might be cool.
Are you guys allowed to call it Baby D on the CRL play-by-play and stuff?
I mean, they have never given me any instructions about anything.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good.
Someone tagged this. I had that tournament I had on my channel last weekend, and someone like actually pulled this one out as a tag from the video. But at some point, whoever was playing against Kuchiku like killed a cannon in the back on Kuchiku's territory. And I said, oh yeah, they stick the cannon deep into Kuchiku's territory. And That was a fun one for them to catch.
Nice. Plenty of pun opportunities in CR. So adding the bomb or maybe making it target air is Rich's first idea. By the way, in the comments, guys, let me know which of these reworks you like the best. Tag, you were excited. Go ahead and give us your idea, man.
Yeah, man, I just couldn't even stop myself. I was like, I have to get this out.
It's the pencil, isn't it?
No,
All right.
it's the Magic Archer because I've just played against it so much, and I'm so sick and tired of seeing it. It's 26% usage rate, 52% win rate with a really high percent usage rate. A lot of noobs will be playing it, so you would expect it to be like lower win rate, especially with just it's supposedly being a high skill cap card.
Ooh, you disagree with that?
I do disagree with it because I think once you've understood the placements, it's very easy to replicate. It's you figure it out once, and once you figured that out, it's very easy to play. So I would say that the way that I would approach it is reduce the amount of damage that it does to towers, and maybe if you need to, increase the amount that it does to units if it becomes underpowered. But I hate how much damage that thing does when it's locked onto a knight. And I feel like whenever I have something about to cross right in front of my tower, I have to make a prediction. Otherwise, I pretty much lose the game because then they're able to minor cycle me out for the rest of the game if they just get like one really big Magic Archer connection. And playing that like rock, paper, scissors, are they going to drop the Magic Archer or not, is not a game that I like playing in Clash Royale. It's not a fun mini game. So I would rebalance it and try to change the amount of damage it does to towers so then it doesn't feel as oppressive. And if they nerf like the hit speed or they nerf the amount of damage it does overall, I think that could completely ruin the card and it would just make it feel clunky or useless. And I don't want that to happen. I love the card, but I also hate playing against it because I think it just does too much to towers.
Wow. Okay, dude, you're sounding like a big fat nerf. Tag's like, my rework is nerfing Magic Archer because I hate it so much. But I hear what you're saying, though. You want to, you still want it to be viable. That's the thing, right? You don't want to just nerf it and reduce tower damage and that's it. You want to make sure that it's still a good card. It's just not getting all that extra damage onto the tower.
Yeah, you could increase the amount of damage it does to units if that is needed, or maybe rebalance the amount of damage it does to towers in the future. But I really think that it's the way to go, and they have the precedent of doing that with the miner, right? The miner does less damage to towers than it does to buildings. So, than it does to units and buildings. So yeah, I think it's cool to have that happen. Okay,
I'm gonna give Rich. Any thoughts on that?
I think that Tag nailed it, and one of the things about Archer this is more of a nerf than a rework. We'll have to cop to it, but I think that one of the annoying things about Magic Archer is like it almost if you're playing Fireball or Poison, it almost always demands that you use it, and it just makes it kind of makes that interaction repetitive, especially when the Magic Archer gets dropped right in the middle. So I think that you don't really want to cut its legs out from under it by making it not useful against swarms. So reducing tower damage seems like the perfect first step in taking a look at the Magic Archer.
Okay. I like the idea too. I mean, I agree with it 100%. Magic Archer is definitely out of control now. There's no doubt about it. Like, I am 100% on board with that. My card, okay, this is a weird one, right? Because I was going to do the Elite Barbarians because, I love the Elite Barbarians, but they are the worst card in the game by far, in my opinion. So I was going to do Elite Barbarians, and then I thought, I kind of want to do Royal Recruits because Royal Recruits are a card that's kind of, also just a sucky card, and when it's good, it's sucky. So it's a card that you just don't want in the game. So my first thought on Elite Barbarians is, listen, we've all thought of the idea of giving them a shield, So what if we gave the Elite Barbarians, we reworked their stats so they're the same as regular Barbarians. They're the same exact card, except for what makes them elite? Just the shield. They just have shields, but they're regular Barbarians. And then I thought to myself, what if we spread them out? Because, they'd just be spell-resistant Barbarians, which isn't that interesting. Yeah, you can see where I'm going here. What if we spread these cards out? And then I thought to myself, what if we just delete the Royal Recruits and we rework the Elite Barbarians to be a line of Barbarians with shields? So I am reworking everything on this one, and I'm also deleting a card while I'm at it. Obviously, about the whole deleting a card, I don't think they could or would do that. They would have to, it would be messy in terms of the upgrades and the compensation and stuff. But I do think that both of those cards are trash for different reasons. The Elite Barbarians are just trash because of the worst card. Too much Elixir, we're not even sure what they're supposed to be good at. And Royal Recruits are just kind of I don't know. They're kind of a mess of a card, right? They're not good, and when they're good, like I said, they suck. Any thoughts on this, guys?
Tag, do you want to go first?
I 100% feel you on both those. I think that they could maybe change the Elite Barbarians to somehow being okay, but I think the Royal Delivery or the Royal Recruits are unsalvageable. There's no chance. Just like the card concept, it is really, really annoying when that card is strong, and you can't really deal with a card that's slow roll pushing at you when they drop the Royal Recruits in the back, and they make it a bait meta with their Skeleton Barrel and all their log bait cards, and it just ruins the game. The E-Barbs, at least it made it more of a fast-paced game, and I didn't actually dislike the meta when E-Barbs were stronger or strong. The main thing that you would have to consider is just don't make the E-Barbs as fast as they were before. Make them like semi as fast, and you can give them some buffs with stats. Just don't make it a log bait meta where Royal Recruits and Scar Me and all the bait cards are coming at me again, because that wasn't fun.
Yeah, Rich, any thoughts on those cards?
You know, it's interesting. I have the exact opposite thought on E-Barbs, which is I think redo the art so that they're covered in armor, right? Fully, like it's not just a helmet, but they're wearing a plate and greaves maybe, and make them bigger and slower and make them more of a heavy hitting slow troop rather than your favorite combination of E-Barb's Purple Drink. You know, E-Barb's Rage is just it's the most annoying thing in the universe. It's either complete failure or utter destruction, depending on if someone was prepared for it or not. And if they're elite, sure, let's make them super elite, make them big and slow and nasty. I think that'd be at least an interesting thing to try out to see if that makes one of the questions, one of the things that Tag was talking about, maybe you were talking about, was you don't really know what they're supposed to do. Well, let's give them a clear role, and that maybe is being like another option as sort of a slow dual lane tank killer.
Yeah, it's definitely, I agree. Like, I don't know what the correct solution is, but there has to be something done to that card. I don't know. I had another idea too, but I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole. But I'm curious whether you guys and my audience thinks that this is making a card too broken, too powerful, or if it's actually a viable idea. But sort of like having a barbarian that sits there in the corner, kind of like the Goblin Cage idea. And then over time it gets stronger, or over time it finally gets released, right? Do you guys think that cards like that are a good mechanic for the game? Or do you think that that's kind of, it just provides too much, I don't know, too much of a different flavor of game style when you're kind of cashing in your elixir in order to use it later? Like, what do you guys think of that whole concept?
I don't mind the Goblin Cage because there's functional purpose behind it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it has the ability to draw troops to it, and then you can use it to create a counter push. And yes, you bank, but like, you don't get the full value of the Goblin Cage when you purely use it as an elixir bank. Like, you have to really be using it to draw troops to get the full value out of it. Mm-hmm. A troop that gets stronger over time, the only real challenge that I see about that, I mean, if the troop is slow, that makes it kind of interesting. And it's certainly a different mechanic, like a troop that maybe hits harder or faster as time goes on. But you get the issue of like, how predictable is that interaction, right? And one of the things that I think makes Clash Royale brilliant is the general predictability of interactions. And it makes it really strategic, and anything that kind of takes away from that ability, to me, kind of undermines the basic concept of the game.
Yeah, you're totally right, and I agree with you there. So stronger over time, that sucks, because you're absolutely right on that point. There's another game that it's called like World War Doe or something that I was playing for a sponsored video, and they have a dinosaur egg card, and it costs like 5 or 6 elixir or something like that. But it takes forever, but it hatches and it is a huge OP dinosaur, right? So like that kind of concept, I'm not sure if that's if that's a broken concept or if that's a good concept, you know?
It's generally like a broken concept when they have it in those type of games. Mm-hmm. But if the E-Barbs were really fast and they were generally not able to get super strong, I would actually like that. I think that'd be kind of cool. Like if they could they have the potential of getting absurdly strong, but in a real game, it's very unlikely that that ever happens. Like in a competitive game, it would never happen. But for people that wanted to just see, hey, could I like assemble Exodia, get that Elite Barbarian to the highest potential, and do it for more of a meme? And I think that would kind of be cool. Like right now, there's just a bland, not fun card to play that fulfill no purpose. So even if there was an element that there is a really high potential, you could maybe do it. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah,
at least for content.
Yeah, or like maybe when you kill the Elite Barbarian, it respawns as a barbarian.
That's kind of fun.
Instead of like the shield concept, it's weaker too because it's a different card. You know, it's like I don't know, that might be too powerful, but still, at least it would give it a new dynamic. Kind of like how you kill a barbarian hut, you still have to deal with 2 barbarians. Kind of like you kill a couple elite barbarians, you still have to deal with two barbarians. But then it would make the rage spam even worse. You know.
Hold on. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
What about this one? You know, we have a couple of cards that have an interesting mechanic where they interact with other cards on your side, talking primarily Battle Healer and Lumberjack. What if the Elite Barbarian maybe spawned a single Barbarian or double, but whatever it is, but the main purpose of it was that it gave a benefit to surrounding troops, like maybe an increase in toughness or a small, like, you know, there isn't really like a defense stat in the game, but maybe gave a small HP boost to units that are around it or something similar to that.
Yeah, kind of like Barbarian King and Clash of Clans type thing.
Yeah, similar, but without quite being heroes.
Yeah.
Just it was similar to like what Battle Healer or Lumberjack does in concept.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jack.
I think one of the ways that they could do it is, you know how the Elite Barbarian has a mask or a helmet? Mm-hmm. You take that off after it loses the mask, and then it spawns the Barbarian, or it spawns like the normal HP unboosted Barbarian. So I think that would be pretty cool, like if they did something along those lines, and if it was a different than the guards, right? It's not like a bait card.
Yeah.
I think it would be good enough if it like hit not like a mini P.E.K.K.A, but still a tag killer, and it was fulfilling a different role.
You're right.
Might be cool. Yeah,
you're right. It really just all comes down to what is its role. Your guys, like all of these answers might be viable, they might not be, but what is that card supposed to be doing? You know, other than just being spammed at the bridge, over leveled with rage. Rich, what's your next rework?
My next rework is sort of in the same vein as my first rework, so you're going to see a theme between these two, and that's another slight rework to Wall Breakers. Obviously, the Wall Breakers initial rework like completely changed the meta drastically. It created a new deck that has been dominant now since like since fall of last year. And the deck still has its pretty strong right now. Mm-hmm. But what I would love to do is again continue this consistency of skeletons that carry explosives, and I would like to see a little bit less damage to towers. But when they die, they drop their explosive. And I don't think they should explode immediately because that would get too close to fire spirits. But if there was a small timer on the fuse is lit and it exploded a little bit later, I think that would be a cool thing for Wall Breakers. But it would need a damage reduction to tower as well.
Tag, thoughts on that?
So since it's 2 elixir, I'm a little bit more skeptical of it. Also, like with the bomber, it's 3, right? So
yeah,
you should be able to get a bit more with it. I also think that the bomb should be a little bit different too, depending on what it is. Like the balloon, obviously, was way less than the giant skeleton. The bomber was probably considerably less. I guess we're talking about like I don't know how much damage it's gonna do. So it might be cool just to have the consistency if it's a very low amount of damage. But I could see it being very overpowered for 2 elixir, not even having the wall breaker since it's a very high movement speed and it's like a win condition that wants to get on top of the tower. I think it might be a little bit too strong if we give that a bomb opposed to the bomber that isn't really going to get up close and personal to a tower as a win condition for 3 elixir, higher elixir cost, 2 elixir as a win condition that has potential to get to the tower and guarantee damage. The death bomb, I don't know. I think it would be a little bit more tricky in that one.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm with Tag here. I think that for me, I'm with you on the bomber idea. Like I want bomber to drop a bomb. I like it. But for me, the wall breakers, like exploding on impact, to me, that's close enough to them dropping a bomb. Like they're dropping their bombs because they're kamikaze wall breakers, skeletons, you know? Like for me, that already kind of fits that motif, and I'm cool with it, I guess, you know, personally. But if they were to do your idea, I agree with Tag again that they would probably have to come up with some sort of like a rework, you know?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's just a functionality question of where the heck does their bomb go when they die beforehand? It just disappears. I need the answer.
Yeah, you just need the answer. I can't blame you, man. I can't blame you for that. Okay, so Tag, what's your next idea?
So the next one is definitely pretty controversial. It's the Three Musketeers. People love to hate it. They love to hate it. So I'm gonna straight up say it. I'm biased here. I've loved Three Musketeers. It used to be one of my favorite decks to play. So I would just want to get that out of the way, guys. I'm biased here. However, I don't think that Three Musketeers are very playable on defense right now. I think that they're just terrible. So the reason is Three Musketeers used to be playable and you used to be able to drop them, and they used to attack things immediately. But now you need to have Hunter or Mini P.E.K.K.A. or Bomb Tower even, and you're going to have to lose a lot of functionality with a counter push because you have to drop something ahead of time, and you can't really drop the Three Musketeers, then spam cards afterward, and then have a slower roll and push because the Hunter will always go ahead of your Three Musketeers. The Mini P.E.K.K.A. obviously will go ahead of the Three Musketeers. The Bomb Tower stays on your side of the map. I think the Three Musketeers have also really had a lot of issues right now in the meta because if you've been trying to run Elixir Collector, then you run into an Earthquake. If you run a Royal Hogs deck, you're going to run into Bomb Tower. So the Three Musketeers are struggling hard, and I want to see a decrease in the amount of time that they are loading in so they can actually fulfill counter push potential. Like, I want that to be back in the game. And I also, this is another really controversial thing, I think that the regular Musketeer is a little bit stronger than it should be as well. It does have a 53% win rate with a 17% usage rate. So it's doing okay. It's like doing pretty well. I would maybe nerf the Musketeer damage back to what it was. I don't think that buff was needed. And most people that you talk to that are playing at high ladder would agree with that or have agreed with it to me. So yeah, I would say that probably rework Three Musketeers back to their old or close to similar situations so they can actually be playable because they're not good right now. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, you threw a lot at us there, Tag. I'll let you go first. Rich?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. They need a rework. And my rework for the Three Musketeers is that you yeet them from Clash Royale, send them to Brawl Stars as a Shelly special. They're Shelly's third super, or maybe her tech that she drops. Yeah. And they can go live in another part of the Supercell universe.
Dude, you hate them? You hate Three Muskies that much, man?
Every deck that I play, every deck that I've like mained on ladder has been countered by 3M. Like, so 3M for me consistently has basically been Freddy Krueger, and I'm always falling asleep and dreaming. It's the worst thing in the world. And the fact that they've been non-viable for a year has given me a breath of fresh air and a new life similar to that of Lazarus.
Dude, Three Muskies, first of all, Three Muskies is one of those weird cards that when you're playing them, you always feel like you don't have matchup. And then when you're playing against them, you always feel like the Three Musketeers has matchup, right? Like, as a 3M player, if they have, like, anything, really, like, oh, they have Valkyrie, oh, they have Fireball, oh, they have, like, you always feel like they have good weapons. So I feel like in that way, then in that sense, they're, I don't know, like, they're a weird card. They're not balanced properly right now. Some people still have success with them, but very, very few. And I feel I'm a little bit more on Tag's side here. Like, I would like to see Three Musketeers were an archetype. And it's the first time, really, Supercell just killed an entire archetype. At least I felt that way, you know, because there was a lot of different Three Musketeer decks back in the day. Three Musketeers Spam, Three Musketeer with Giant, Three Musketeer with Pump, Three Musketeer with Hog Rider. Like, there was a lot of Three Musketeer decks. And now it's just like, yeah, they're all kind of mediocre. So I'm with Tag, man. I'm not sure about the Musketeer nerf. Like, I think the Musketeer is fine, but you have to find a way to buff Three Musketeers without nerfing Musketeer, in my opinion. That's the challenge. But a lot of people will say, and I'm curious to see if you have an argument for this tag, a lot of people out there will say that 3 Musketeers being meta was like the worst thing possible for the game.
As I said, man, I really enjoyed it. I love the game when 3 Musketeers were viable because that was my main deck. So I said it straight up. I was biased and I wanted to let everyone know because I just love the game. It's up to everyone else to have their own perspective on it. And yeah, I don't know.
I got you, man. I got you.
I know for a fact that there's going to be people that disagree with me on that. And I understand that it's not a overwhelmingly positive perspective. Yeah, mine is.
I just wouldn't mind, and Supercell has rejected this idea out of hand a couple times. I just wouldn't mind like breaking them up from the marriage to Musketeer and making them their own thing. And I don't know if it's a coding issue where I mean, I don't think it'd be that difficult to do, but you know, if they were just if they were the 3 riflemen or whatever it is, like just anything so that they don't have to be tied to Muskie.
That's what they learned their lesson on that from, like, they did the same thing with Goblin Gang, with Spear Goblins and Goblins, and I think they realized that was a big mistake, and they learned their lesson.
Real delivery.
Well, true, but they learned their lesson with the Rascals, because originally it was just going to be a knight and 2 archers, and they changed it to boy and girl Rascals, you know, which I think was a brilliant idea, because again, you want to have that separation on like groups of cards so you can nerf them independently, from one another. So I like that as well. You mentioned Royal Delivery. I want to just go on the record right now quickly and say that I was wrong in the balance change video. I think Royal Delivery is an amazing card. Like, I've changed my opinion on it. What do you guys think about that card real quick?
It's good with one deck. That's it.
What, the Royal Hogs one?
The Royal Hogs one, because it can protect your Magic Archers and Hunters, and you don't really have great distractions with that deck. So it's nice to be able to keep your all of your stuff alive, like your ranged units alive, by just pushing things back with the Royal Delivery. It's nice to stop miners, stop mini P.E.K.K.A.s, and
I was watching Tommy play that deck. I actually put a video out on it yesterday, guys. And dude, like, he can shut down, like, just seeing them kill swarms of minions and minion hordes and whatever, and still provide like a tank distraction unit or whatever. Like, I stand by, man. After seeing that, maybe you're right. Maybe it's just that one deck, but dude, so much utility he gets out of the Royal Delivery that I'm just like, wow, dude, this card is insane when used, you know, in the right situations. What do you think about Royal Delivery, Rich?
I haven't played it much because I'm trying to one trick really hard this season.
Got you.
So I've pretty much just been playing Graveyard Eways nonstop. Okay. In the hopes that I can set a new personal best. So
how's that going for you?
I haven't really touched it too much, and I haven't faced it a ton. So I can't give but you know, more power to the people who figured it out. And Tommy's one of those guys. Tommy, people might not realize this. Tommy kind of pioneered minor wall breakers. He ran it back in CRL West Spring before wall breakers got the rework, when they were still 3 elixir, and nearly won with it. He just got a really bad matchup. And I was playing minor wall breakers back when they were 3 because of Tommy. So he's one of those guys who really can do some pretty cool, innovative stuff with new cards.
Awesome. Well, he's definitely a really solid player. My last card, because I kind of did a 2-for-1 earlier with the recruits and the barbs, is actually, I'm going to cheat a little bit because we know it's coming. It's the 4 Elixir Wizard. So I wanted to kind of bring this up because I wanted to get your guys' take on, okay, 4 Elixir Wizard. Very interesting here. What do they need to do to the card to keep its power in check? How are they going to rework this thing, right? So my idea is we know they're thinking and strongly leaning towards making it 4 Elixir. So what does that entail for the rest of the stats on the card? Is it just tuning down its damage? I think they really ought to make Wizards Fireball less splash and more just direct damage. But then does it push it way more closely to the Musketeer that there's not a delineation there? Is it just making it die to Fireball but increasing the splash? So I kind of, because I don't want it to be too close to Hunter or too close to Musketeer, I decided that the right decision here is 4 Elixir with actually a wider splash, less damage. What do you guys think? But then that's kind of Hunter-y. I don't know. What's the solution here on Wizard?
Oof.
Right?
You know, it's interesting. I wrote a blog post that I never actually posted because immediately when I finished writing it, Supercell released the rework on Witch. I am kind of okay with certain cards setting up tent and living in Noobville. You know, I think it's fine that some cards from introduce a player to a certain concept at a certain level, and then you get a more advanced card for it later, right? Like Wizard, you eventually replace with more advanced and more utilitarian splash damage troops, which when you're in lower level arenas is a great response to the single target damage of Prince, P.E.K.K.A, things like that, which you then eventually replace with skeletons, guards, with kiting, things like that. So I don't mind certain
anybody
cards
who uses Wizard, it belongs in Noobville. You heard it here first. Rich Slaton, 2020.
Yeah, that's my field. Yeah, keep it in the first 7 arenas, and then replace it with something more versatile. There are almost 100 cards. Not every single card has to always be competitively viable at the top of ladder. Some cards are good for introducing concepts and then eventually kind of fall by the wayside.
Okay, well, we know that. I agree with you on all that, but we know that it's going to get a rework to 4 elixirs. So what do you think is the solution?
I think the problem with Wizard isn't like this damage issue. It's that the card's boring, right? E-Wiz, like shocks, stuns, has its little drop damage. Ice Wiz slows things down. I think that Wizard needs to have some sort of secondary effect on troops. And I'm not actually entirely sure that effect should be a negative effect. I think that Wizard should drop down to 4 elixir, maintain its same damage, but because the troops are on fire, they move a little bit faster when for a period of time when they're damaged by Wizard.
Wow, that's an idea right there. Like giving the troops like a haste ability. Interesting. What do you think, Tag?
Yeah, so I have no problem with the Noobville thing. I actually think that Rich is 100% on center there. Sometimes cards conceptually just don't really fit in. And another thing is if you have too many cards at 4 elixir, then there's going to be the power creep. Like you said, the Hunter, the Musketeer, the Electro Wizard, there's just so much to choose from. There has to be some differentiators there, right? And one thing that they love is elixir cost. For the Wizard, it's just outscaled and outclassed by everything else because its range is terrible for 5 elixir. Why would you run something that gets destroyed for Fireball and Log at the same cost as, or actually even higher than Musketeer and E-Wiz that provide better utility? The Musketeer has longer range, so you're able to keep it safer. The Electro Wizard's better on defense against Goblin Barrels, stunning things like Bridge Spam, Ram Riders, whatever, you name it. So the thing for Wizard, probably at 4 elixir, it's not going to be the same as Hunter because it won't really be a tank killer. I think it could be okay at 4 elixir. The big issue for me is, hey, what happens when they want to add more cards at 4 elixir and then they've already used up all of their slots? Like they can't possibly add another 4 elixir ranged unit because all the slots are already taken up. So they're filling all of their chips already, and they're going to have a lot of open slots at 5 elixir. So I don't know. In the future, it's kind of bad.
Yeah, we'll see. XE holding it. He's going to be the only guy holding it down there in the 5 elixir spot. Anyway, let's say Tag. What's your last one?
Yeah, so my last one is also probably a little bit controversial, but we live on the edge.
Okay.
So we're gonna go with Battle Healer, and we're gonna say that we don't like it.
Okay.
It's not fun. It's not a fun card to play against.
We don't like it.
So the way that I would change it is I am sick and tired of rocketing it or dropping a spell on it and then having that self-heal mechanism from it in the back and getting no value. So I can't fireball it, I can't poison it, I can't rocket it because I know it's going to regain all that HP. It would be awesome to know this card doesn't self-heal. So that's all I want. I want it to stop self-healing so I can rocket it in the back and actually cycle and ensure that it's not going to come back at me and heal back all that HP and just be a nuisance. It's very frustrating.
Preach, brother. Speak the word.
So easy solution, right? It just does more healing to everybody else, less healing to her, and no healing to her.
No. More attack damage, less healing.
No. I think it's going to be a little bit more healing to everybody else and then no healing to her. That way you can at least fireball, rocket her, kill her, then deal with the rest of the push. What about you, Rich? What's the solution?
I love the idea of getting rid of her self-heal. I think it's the self-heal when nothing's happening is just, it's obnoxious and it's senseless. Like, I get the idea that when she hits something, she heals and there's a little heal thing, but the fight's over and then she's like, oh, by the way, here's 10 to 20% of my healing back for no apparent reason. Get out of here with that noise. It's nonsense. And it creates like these weird counter pushes where the amount of value she gives for 4 elixir is bananas. The amount you have to spend just to deal with her is bananas. And also and that in particular is a big reason why the no skill E-Golem deck is so popular right now. So yeah, I think Tag's right on point. Get that specific thing would be the first place I would address Battle Healer and kind of see. I think it's a good idea to like make that change and then see where it goes from there.
Okay, well, you know what? I wasn't aware that her win rates are as high as they are. They're actually one of the highest in the game right now. So I guess you're right. I mean, it needs to be more of a nerf than a total rework. But yeah, I agree with you. 57% win rate right now. That's pretty insane compared to most every other card in the game.
There are a ton of players, whether they be competitive or just like casual ladder players, who have reached a new level of quote unquote like skill or whatever, purely based off of the Battle Healer Electro Dragon Elixir Golem deck. Like I personally know so many players who their personal bests exist.
Names.
Yeah, right. 300 to 600 trophies higher than before, like purely because this deck exists. So, you know.
All right. So we get three thumbs up there for the for the Battle Healer rework. You got some friends on your side, at least on this call, Tag. So
yeah,
Rich, give us your final one, man.
My final one, and this is probably going to be maybe a little bit controversial, but I like it a lot. And it's Fire Spirits, because Fire Spirits are a card that really has almost no place in the meta whatsoever. When you see it, you're like, "What? You're running Fire Spirits?"
This dude's like, yeah.
It's kind of silly, and I think the big reason why is because it's 2 elixir that doesn't serve any specific purpose, right? So my thought is, what I like for a rework for it is reduce it by 1 spirit and reduce it to 1 elixir. That might require a slight nerf to damage, which, you know, maybe the Furnace could use anyway. But I think that's valuable because then it becomes a more viable cycle card. You now have a 3rd troop cycle card at 1 elixir. I think that the game could really use to speed up. And it plays a different role. Like Ice Spirit has the slow, but 2 Fire Spirits is still enough to mess up some minion hordes. You know what I'm saying? So I like the idea of reducing it to 2. You could still pressure and get 1 of the 2 on tower, kind of like Ice Spirit can still on its own hit a tower. But now you have another useful cycle card that I don't think it would become oppressive or overly dominant. I could be wrong, but I don't think it would. But I think it would increase its use rate and make for some more interesting options. And maybe it would also take the place of some decks that run double small spell, right? So some decks that are log snowball, barbarian barrel snowball, you could throw the Fire Spirits in there at 1 elixir and they'd be a viable alternative. Whereas right now they're kind of like a gambling alternative.
Yeah, Tag, what do you think about Fire Spirits?
I don't think you can make them 1 elixir, because then we would just see Expo decks dominate with that. It would be really scary. Yeah, I'm just super against 1 elixir cost cards right now with how Expo can be if you add other stronger one elixir cost cards. Like the Skeletons and the Ice Spirit, I'm guaranteeing you those both got nerfed because of 2.9. So if we have something that's really strong at 1 elixir, 2.9's win rates will just skyrocket. So I don't know. I don't think you can make anything really 1 elixir that good right now.
Interesting, because, you know, you look at, like, everybody thought that Heal might have a chance at being viable when they dropped it down to 1 elixir, and it still sucked really badly. Even worse, you could argue. But now with I'm not saying it's the same for Fire Spirits, because obviously they're better than the Heal spell. But at the same time, I love the idea of another 1 elixir card, and it sounds like we're going to get a 1 elixir Heal Spirit, you know. Are you worried in the same way, just out of curiosity, if we're going to get a 1 elixir Heal Spirit, that it could still, just because adding another 1 elixir card, like you said, to Expo will make it stronger? Or do you think that Heal Spirit will just be, you know, too crappy?
Nah, we're definitely chilling. As long as that card doesn't heal buildings, we're fine.
Got you. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence between you guys on this one. I like the idea of bringing them to one elixir. I like the idea of going like way outside the box and making them like the Royal Delivery, where they enter the arena and then they still live on to have a second life. But I don't know if that makes them too powerful, even at 2 elixir, you know. But dude, they have one of the worst 5 use and win rates. Well, the worst Fisherman has the worst win rate in the. No, I'm sorry. Elite Barbs has the worst win rate in the game. But yeah, man, they're pretty low there. 21% win rate, less than 1% use rate on Fire Spirits. They need something. So if it's not 1 elixir, then what is it? Is it making them 3 elixir and making them 4 Fire Spirits, Tag?
I mean, we went over a whole bunch of things last time.
Yeah, we did. What did you land on? What was your favorite solution? I forgot.
I forgot what it was, but I remember liking Legendary's improvements to it.
I think he wanted 4. I think he wanted to like split them behind 2 and 2 behind King Tower, you know?
There needs to be something because they're really underwhelming. And I'm okay with it being a strong card because it's not a oppressive card. As long as it's not at 1 elixir, I'm okay with it.
Okay, how about this one, which is way outside the box? What about reworking Fire Spirits to Fire Golem? And it's a 2 elixir similar to the Ice Golem, but instead of it's a new card to kite with, but instead of doing slow damage, it either does like burn damage over time, kind of similar to how poison does, or it does damage on. I don't like damage on death. There's like too much of that, but I kind of like that. Like when you hit it, it does damage to you.
Would it be building targeting as well?
I like that. I very specifically like that idea.
I really want to see a new type of stun or a new type of mechanic added to Clash Royale. I've really been refreshed by what Rich has said with either the haste mechanic with a wizard or the Fire Spirits. I think Clash Royale needs something like that, a new interesting mechanic that would just, I don't know, rejuvenate gameplay and just make everything way more fun to have all these different interactions that we can look into and learn things from.
Yeah, like are you, I mean, not to shift too far away from the topic, but like, are you guys, this has been mentioned since the very, very beginning of beta of Clash Royale, but are you guys in favor of like a shield spell?
No, I don't like it.
No.
Nope.
I don't either, but it's just like, you ask for a new mechanic and it's just like, what if there was like a 2-second shield that you had to have the timing perfectly down on, you know?
I think that would just be extremely frustrating. Imagine you like
kind of like freeze, right? Frustrating the same way freeze can be.
I mean, what happens if you've like won a game and then you're like you get rocket blocked by a spell, or you're trying to kill a battle healer and a magic archer, and then you fireball, and then they're like, nope. Not today.
Yeah.
that would really make me upset.
That's true. That's true. It's tough with heal and shield and all those reflect damage type things. It seems like those should be a natural part of the universe of the game.
Yeah.
But you're right. In practicality, you're right. There can be challenging and tricky and unfair too to actually implement. Well, guys, that was a great list of cards. We give my viewers a ton to think about. I want to give a huge shout out to Rich Slaton and SirTag's YouTube channel. You can check out Tag, Clash Royale, and Rich Slaton's information, their Twitter, their Instagrams, creator codes, everything I can find on these guys, I will include for you guys in the show notes below. Guys, thanks so much for coming on and chatting reworks and Clash Royale with us.
Thanks for having me, Ash. It's a lot of fun and good to hang out with the both of you.
Thanks, man. It was a pleasure coming on, and thanks for giving me something to do today while we're in these troubled times.
No doubt, man. Guys, thank you for coming on again. Thank you guys for watching. Huge shout out to Stutts Royale and to Bren Chong, my YouTube partners. Check out their information in the description as well. And as always, take care, guys.